Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown review. And this is going to be a review of last night's edition of Smackdown. And Smackdown, of course, was from Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, which was the last night for WWE in Toronto for SummerSlam weekend. And I gotta say, last night's Smackdown, I thought it was an enjoyable show. I thought it was decent. It was a watchable show, in my opinion. We had a awesome match between Buddy Murphy and Roman Reigns. Yes, Buddy Murphy finally had a match on SmackDown after, after 4 months of not being, on SmackDown. When he was brought in the Superstar Shakeup. They finally used him in a match last night. So let's get on with the SmackDown review. So SmackDown opened up last night with Kevin Owens. He made his way out to the ring. He got in the ring. The crowd starts chanting his name, Kevin Owens. Really great ovation from the crowd to Kevin Owens. They chanted his name, really loudly. Of course, it's in Kevin Owens's, home country. So Kevin Owens gets on the mic and he says that yesterday, meaning on August 12th, marked the 5-year anniversary that he signed his contract, his WWE contract. He goes on to say, over those 5 years, he's created memories he'd never forget and experiences he never thought he'd experience. He says he got in the ring with people he looked up to his entire career. He says some of the absolute best in this industry. He says Sunday at SummerSlam, he was in the ring with the man who calls himself the best in the world. He says he assures us that as far from reality as can be, he says he'll remember that night forever. He says his entire family was at ringside watching. And they got to share, the arena, which was sold out and was packed with people begging to see him kick Shane McMahon's ass. He says the best part is that's exactly what he did. Kevin Owens went on to say, Shane's ass isn't the only thing he kicked. But what he'll remember most is hitting Shane with that stunner in the middle of the ring. He says he'll remember that moment for the rest of his life. Kevin Owens went on to say, now that that's done, he's setting his sights on the King of the Ring. So WWE now is building up for the King of the Ring, which is taking place on Raw this Monday. So I like that they're finally building up for the King of the Ring. And he says he's setting his sights on the King of the Ring because he said it before and will again. He goes on to say that he's always been a WWE fan his entire life. And he goes on to say King of the Ring was always one of his favorite things growing up. Same as me, I enjoyed King of the Ring. Well, I wasn't watching the pay-per-views at the time when I was a kid, but I remember the King of the Ring when they brought it back for SmackDown in 2005, and right from there, it was one of my favorites. So I really wish that it would have WWE would have brought the King of the Ring back as a pay-per-view. So Kevin Owens ends up going on to say that he's thrilled to be competing in it because winning it would mean just as much to him as winning any of the titles he already won. He says because who wouldn't want to be named alongside legends like, he mentions Stone Cold Steve Austin, he mentions Kurt Angle, Edge, Bret the Hitman Hart, and yes, he even said Owen Hart too. and says, add his name to that list. He'll guarantee, which he was going to say, something else, but then he gets interrupted by Shane McMahon. So Shane came out. He says, this is a nice little moment for Kevin Owens to celebrate his tainted victory. Now he's out here for a couple of reasons. So as Shane was about to speak, the crowd starts chanting loudly, asshole, at Shane. And he's like, let it breathe for a beat. Shane goes, let it breathe for a beat, before saying, there's no reason to be calling Kevin Owens that. So Shane ends up having some footage to prove his point. And it's a picture, it's like a screen cap of Kevin Owens low blowing him at SummerSlam. And when the ref's back was turned, that's when Kevin Owens low blowed Shane on Sunday. So Shane ends up questioning Kevin Owens, manhood. And Kevin Owens ends up saying that he's not going to be lectured about manhood by somebody who used to be a part of the Mean Street Posse. Yeah, if you remember back in the day in the Attitude Era, Shane had his buddies, the Mean Street Posse. And he ends up saying, being a man is about doing whatever it takes and standing up for what you believe in. And he goes on to say that's what he's been doing for weeks. And he goes on to say, in this particular situation, being a man means shut in your stupid face. That's what he was saying to Shane. So Shane ends up calling Kevin Owens a lowlife and a cheater. And says he's so upset to be looking at his face when Owens should be in the unemployment line outside of the arena. And he says it makes him want to come down and beat the crap out of him. Kevin Owens ended up welcoming it. But Shane says he's going to show restraint. And he says Kevin Owens is in competition tonight. So Kevin Owens tells Shane, who is he going to take on tonight? So Shane demurs and says the main reason he came here to talk was to show another piece of footage that he had. So the footage showed Kevin Owens wailing on Elias with the chair, which happened, at SummerSlam. And Shane says, after the footage was over, Shane ended up saying that Elias was so traumatized, he got the night off. And the 24/7 Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 Championship is suspended for the night. And he ends up saying the thing is, he went after Elias with malice. And, he was saying, WWE ref jersey, he was, representing the company. And he says, we have to protect our officials. So he says, Shane ends up telling Kevin Owens, you can never, ever go after an official intentionally. And he says, so in order, as part of his management job, I forgot that Shane was still, had a management job, on SmackDown. Shane says he's been thinking about what needs to happen to make sure they're all safe. So he ends up fining Kevin Owens $100,000. So Kevin Owens ends up calling it a joke, and he says $100,000 might be nothing to Shane, but to him, that's his family's future and his kids' college or down payment on a house. He ends up saying if Shane is the man he claims to be, he'll reconsider because he knows it's crap. So Shane ends up telling Kevin Owens, no, he's not reconsidering. And so Shane leaves. So Kevin Owens ends up storming, going to the back after Shane. And that's how the segment ended. But it was a decent opening to SmackDown. You know, Kevin Owens coming out, the crowd giving him that great ovation. So when SmackDown came back from the commercial, we saw Kevin Owens. He was in the back. He goes into Shane's office, gets in Shane's face. Shane ends up begging Kevin Owens off, saying that he's not a competitor right now. And he says if Owens hits him, he'll sue him and take every dime from him and put his family in peril. So Owens ended up backing down. Shane says it had to be done to set an example. And, you know, that pissed off Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens was like, oh, let's make it 105. So he then takes a table and throws it at the TV monitor that was in Shane's office, just shattering it, cracking it. And then Kevin Owens ended up leaving. So that was that. Then we had the first match of the night. Charlotte Flair versus Ember Moon. And the match itself, it was decent. It was very enjoyable. I was back and forth between Charlotte and Ember. Of course, going into it, I knew Ember wasn't going to win it because, of course, report, Vince McMahon, not a fan of Ember Moon. He doesn't like Ember, doesn't like Ember Moon. So you all know what the outcome of this match was going to be. So Charlotte ended up getting the win. Figure 8, Ember Moon. Ember Moon ended up tapping out. So there you go. Charlotte ends up winning. Overall, it was a decent match. And, you know, of course, you know, now that, you know, Vince McMahon is not a fan of Ember Moon, it just proves it, you know, right there. And it's going to lead to Charlotte versus Bayley. I know that WWE is going to do it. They're going to have Charlotte versus Bayley. SmackDown Women's Championship is going to be on the line at Clash of Champions. And watch, Charlotte is going to win the SmackDown Women's Championship at Clash of Champions. We're in for a 10 title reign for Charlotte. Watch. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, guys. Get ready for a 10-time SmackDown Women's Champion in Charlotte. Get ready for that. And then we saw Daniel Bryan and Rowan. They came out. They made their entrance. Daniel Bryan got on the mic. They were both standing on the stage. Daniel Bryan says, there's no question now that someone is out to get Roman Reigns. He says they had nothing to do with the car accident, nor the backstage accident where that scaffold fell on Roman. And he says Buddy Murphy is a liar. He says he doesn't blame him because we all lie. We all cave if Roman Reigns had our face pressed against the wall. He says he had to give a name, but Buddy Murphy gave the wrong name. So we had the Toronto crowd chanting, it was you to Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan says, that's what's wrong with all of us. Somebody tells a lie, and it gets spread on social media, and it becomes the truth. He says he hates to disappoint us, but he and Rowan had nothing to do with the incidents, and tonight they're going to prove it. And so that was that. Just Daniel Bryan and Rowan coming out to say that they weren't involved with all the Roman Reigns accidents. So then after that, we had Shane McMahon. He was being interviewed backstage. Shane says he doesn't want to divulge Kevin Owens' opponent, and Samoa Joe ends up coming in. He offers Shane's services. Shane ends up saying that Joe will teach him a lesson. Will teach Kevin Owens a lesson. And Kevin Owens will finally learn that you have to respect authority. So there you go. We had the match set for the night. Samoa Joe versus Kevin Owens. And then we got Aleister Black in the dark room again, cutting a promo. Aleister talks about paying debts and how his will be paid in his self-inflicted anguish. He says, because such is his burden and his sin. He says, but in due time, he'll find an end for any member of the locker room and himself. And all they have to do is knock on his door. Saying typical Aleister Black promo of him in the dark room. Then we had Roman Reigns versus Buddy Murphy. This was an awesome match. This was a great match between the both of them. Just highly back and forth between them. Both Roman and Buddy Murphy put on a good performance in the ring. They both, gave it all they got. Buddy Murphy here, I'd say this is possibly Buddy Murphy's first best match that he had on the main roster, because it took Buddy Murphy 4 months. 4 months WWE took to put Buddy Murphy on SmackDown. Came from the Superstar Shakeup. Buddy Murphy was on 205 Live. I saw Buddy Murphy progressed from NXT when he was with Blake and Murphy and Alexa Bliss. Then he went to 205 Live. Outstanding on 205 Live. Had some great matches there. And then him being brought up in the Superstar Shakeup to SmackDown, and they haven't used him in 4 months. And now WWE finally gave Buddy Murphy a chance to shine, have a match on the main roster against Roman. Buddy Murphy, one of my favorite superstars. I met the guy. He's a nice guy. He's a very nice guy. And in this match, he was awesome. Hopefully, after this match, Vince McMahon sees, something in Buddy Murphy. Hopefully, after this, I hope they give Buddy Murphy a major push, because he deserves it. And unfortunately, Roman won with the spear because, it's Roman Reigns. So, but Buddy Murphy selling Roman's spear was really cool. It was really good to see. So, Roman ended up winning. He ended up defeating Buddy Murphy. But all in all, the match itself, it was awesome. It was a really good match between the both of them. And Buddy Murphy, like I said, after this, hopefully WWE sees interest in Buddy Murphy and they give him a major push after this match. Hopefully Vince McMahon sees something in Buddy Murphy. So then after that, the Revival were being interviewed backstage as, why are they challenging the New Day tonight? They say about their match getting interrupted on Raw. And they talk about how it was a slap in the face for the entire division. And they blame the New Day for it. So we had that. I mean, it was not needed. The Revival are Raw superstars. Why are they on SmackDown? Of course, is this maybe the wild card rule? Because I read in reports and in articles saying that WWE was ending the wild card rule after SummerSlam. Where's the end to the wild card? We're still getting Raw superstars on SmackDown, right here with the Revival. This was not needed, in my opinion. So we had Kofi Kingston. He was backstage giving Xavier Woods, a pep talk, and he's upset that the King of the Ring is back and he's not in it. So we got an interview. He asks for a response to the Revival's claim that they ruined the tag team division, and they admit to ruining Christmas. And Big E mentions, circumcision, and they say they never ruined the tag team division, just handled their business. He says the way Kofi has handled Randy Orton. He says he'd attack Orton like he did at SummerSlam again, is what Kofi was saying. He says because family comes first. And that's why he'll be at ringside when his brothers wrestle the Revival. So unfortunately, that was the main event. So then we had Samoa Joe versus Kevin Owens, which was okay. Of course, Shane had to send out Elias as the special guest referee once again. Had to send out Borlias. And Samoa Joe ended up getting the win because Kevin Owens went for the pop-up powerbomb on Joe. Looked like Kevin Owens was going to get the win, and Elias ends up pulling out the referee that was, the official that was refereeing the match. And so Samoa Joe rolled up Kevin Owens. Elias made the quick 3 count, and that was it. Joe ended up winning because of that quick count by Elias to screw Kevin Owens. So there you go. Joe ended up winning. All in all, okay match. So then we saw Daniel Bryan and Rowan. They go into the locker room. Daniel Bryan orders everybody out of the locker room, except for Buddy Murphy. So Rowan ends up forcing Buddy Murphy to take a seat. He and Daniel Bryan sit down next to him. Daniel says they know that he lied, that Buddy Murphy lied, and why. He says they just need him to admit to everybody that he lied. So Buddy Murphy ended up saying nothing. He was remaining silent. And Daniel Bryan was continuing to insist, Buddy Murphy, and he points out the damage done to both of their reputations. Buddy Murphy ended up chuckling. He goes to get up, and Rowan then headbutts Buddy Murphy, throws him over the table, throws him into a trash can, and Daniel Bryan yells about, how you need to admit it when you've done wrong. So Rowan pins Buddy Murphy against the wall, and he admits that he lied. And he demands Buddy Murphy to say, I lied. And Buddy Murphy does so. And so Daniel Bryan says he hates liars. And Rowan ends up throwing Murphy around the room one last time. He throws him into the garbage can, into the trash can. That's what it basically was. So right there, Buddy Murphy, Buddy Murphy is not the one who attacked Roman. So there you go. Continuing this Roman storyline, which I thought they just, quickly wrapped it up before SummerSlam. Then we had the New Day. They came out. They made their entrance for their tag team match. And Randy Orton comes out and interrupts. Randy Orton got on the mic. He asks Kofi how he can cheer on his boys from the sidelines when he ran away from a fight at SummerSlam. Orton says he knows why. The people know why. And it's because he knows he can't beat him. He says his kids will ask, Daddy, why is it you took the easy way out? And he says Kofi will look his sons in the eye and tell them the truth, that he can't beat him. He says he'll give Kofi one more chance to prove him wrong, because he wants in the match, and it'll be a 6-man tag team match. So that was the main event. Randy Orton and the Revival versus the New Day. 6-man tag team match, which was decent. It was back and forth between them. The New Day, always entertaining. Randy Orton and the Revival got the win. The Revival ended up hitting the Shatter Machine to Xavier Woods. So Randy Orton and the Revival win the match. Post-match, we had the Revival continue to beat down on the New Day. Kofi's interference kept them from, breaking Big E's knee, because they were gonna, break, Big E's knee. And Randy Orton goes for the RKO on Kofi. Orton ends up picking up Xavier, and he ends up RKOing Xavier Woods as well. And of course, Orton did an RKO to Big E also. And then Orton did another one to Kofi. So basically, all the New Day got an RKO. But all in all, decent 6-man tag. And then we went backstage. Daniel Bryan and Rowan, they were talking. Roman Reigns ends up coming up. Daniel Bryan tells him to go ahead and apologize. And Roman is just staring at Daniel Bryan, just like, huh? So Daniel Bryan explains to Roman, saying if Samoa Joe got an apology, they deserve one as well. That both him and Roman deserve one. And we see Roman considers it for a little bit. Takes his towel off, and Daniel Bryan says, before it turns into a melee and Roman gets hurt, Daniel Bryan says they've done their own investigation and found out who did it. And he says next week they'll bring Roman the culprit. And so basically that's how SmackDown ended. So next week we're going to find out who did it to Roman, who the culprit is. So they have everybody's interest to check out SmackDown next week. So that was SmackDown. It was an enjoyable show. It was a decent show. Very watchable. And anyways, that's it for the SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe. And until next video, which maybe I'll possibly go see Good Boys tomorrow. Looking forward to the film. Looks hilarious. So if I do see it tomorrow, expect a movie review on it. So anyways, thank you all for watching. And until the next video, I'll see you all later.